First and foremost, I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rokah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And a sincere salutation to you, Akim, you Akwat, that believe in all sincerity. I'm not too sure what I'm entitled this lesson, but, basically I want to speak on, Jake having no manners, all right, no sense, you know. If you believe that people understand how you're carrying yourself, think again. I'm starting to see that, the people, that are without are, very much in the dark on how to behave, how to conduct themselves. And they might want to mimic, okay, they might want to learn from you, but, when we, put on Yahweh Bashem El Shai, okay, which should be every day, these people are pretty much confounded, they're very rude in speech, they lack discipline, all right, they have no shame, they're disrespectful, they have no self-control, okay, they display improper conduct and dishonor towards one another, okay, and many more things do they do. The scriptures speak about in perilous times, all right? The Spirit has been going to this, from time to time, but we'll bring it out. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Okay, so we're seeing all these different flaws, if you will, in Jake. Okay, and yeah, Jake has a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof. They deny, being sons and daughters of the Most High, being, citizens of Israel, okay? The royalty that is to be displayed in them, The scriptures say that we're a nation of kings and priests, all right? So they deny the power that makes them godly, and you got to turn away. You got to be very mindful, very disciplined of who you have around you, and Jake always got something to say, all right? Some type of advice that is, as the scriptures say, with fair speeches they deceive, okay, the hearts of the simple, right? This is Jeremiah 6. And I'll start right here at 15. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore they shall fall among them that fall. At the time that I visit them, they shall be cast down, saith Yahweh. Okay? Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And our people, they're not ashamed when they commit abomination. Okay, here it is. There's many detestable things in the world, but our people, they're not ashamed. Okay. Let's see if I can get this word. Ashamed. Internet's acting up. If not, I'm just going to continue. Yeah, they're not ashamed. Our people, they have no shame. Okay? They're not embarrassed to commit abomination, all right? To break the Most High Yahweh Bashim El Shai's laws, which they don't even know, all right? But here it is. You try to keep the commandments of the Lord, and they look at you sideways, all right? We'll just continue. Thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. And yeah, very much so. You know, ask for the old paths. And especially this younger generation, they're they're very much disrespectful, man. More than even in my time. All right, and I'm 40 years old, but we had respect for older individuals. It seems like this generation is like they know something that we don't. All right, but through the Spirit, I don't remember my generation ever acting like that. We liked oldies and old movies, and you got a couple youngsters that like the old paths. Okay, that they hear about, how we're supposed to conduct ourselves, and they have a liking or inkling to it. But most of Jake right now, they're wild. They're wild. The roles of men and women have changed, and they're just out there doing all manner of abomination, all manner of things that displease Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, but never before have I seen where a bunch of YNs, okay, and these females are definitely compassing a man, and they run in circles around men, trying to rule, trying to talk, down upon men and so on and so forth. It's crazy, but our people will not go in the good way. They're not going to walk therein. These are the commandments, the ways of the ancient world is the way where, we're supposed to be, but they don't want to find rest. They don't want to walk in those ways. They don't want to, live how things, live how it truly should be. Okay. There's the women are trying to rule over men. It's crazy. And it's just, they're doing whatever they want to do. And you basically got to bow to it. And that's crazy work. And it's not going to work for, the men of the Lord, for the righteous, and for those that stand in the old ways. It's not going to work. And they see it. They see it with the men of the Lord. They can't go nowhere. But they're going to try. Oh, yeah, they're going to try. This is the book of Proverbs 13 and 16. It says, every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but the fool layeth open his folly. Right. These people, they're ready to lay open their folly. They're ready to let it all out. They're ready to just, go buck wild because the world is going left. So everybody just on the bandwagon, Every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his folly. I'm trying to get some words. It's not letting me. Yeah, but we're living in a society. We're living in a time where people are laying open their folly. It's all over social media. It's being blasted everywhere. The things that Jake is doing, they're trying to rewrite the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, it's just a free for all in Babylon the Great. This is straight confusion, and our people they love to have it so. But a prudent man, he dealing with knowledge. Okay. And if you have any knowledge, you're going to seek the old paths. You're going to walk in the ways they're in. You're going to take heed to this word, because it's better this way. It's better, okay, to have a life centered around Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's your foundation. That's your rock. This is Proverbs 25. And let's get 28. It says, he that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. You see, and the people, they want to rule. Okay, their spirits, they want to govern themselves according to the ways of the world. And truth be told, Jake just saying whatever. Jake just doing whatever. Jake don't know where to grab true knowledge from. Okay. Jake believe everything. Or Jake believe in nothing. Either or. It says he that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down without walls. Right. There's no guard. Jake's not vigilant. Jake's not wise. Jake's not putting the scriptures say, who will keep the doors of my mouth? Roughly paraphrasing. A scourge over your thoughts. No. Our people don't know how to conduct themselves. They don't know how to set proper boundaries, how to say no, how to, respectfully exclude themselves from situations and circumstances. People are not elegant, not wise. Okay, they're not prudent. They're not. A prudent man looketh towards his way. You see, but the simple pass by and are punished. Roughly paraphrasing. Let's see if we get that right. All gas, no brakes with Jake. Jake is a what's that scripture? Let's see if I can get this one. Getting low Wi-Fi right now. Salakia. Proverbs 22:3. Let's get that. Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. You see? Right. A prudent man foreseeth the evil. You got to have foresight. You got to be able to see, perceive. Okay? But Jake don't know what the next move is. Jake don't know what could possibly come. No. Okay, they just pass on and are punished because they didn't see the evil. They didn't see the trap. They didn't see the deception or what may come. Because they can't roll their spirit. They carnal, loud. What do the brothers say? Uncouth, no class, no elegance, like no manners, no sense. That's what this video is about, man. Something the spirit just, had me ponder on how, like, Jake is just truly just lost in the sauce, man. That's one thing about the scriptures. There's a lot to being in the truth. There's a lot. There's the conduct scriptures. The behavior. You gotta know how to carry yourself. It says, by humility and the fear of Yahweh are riches and honor and life. You see, humility and fear of the Lord, that's how you get riches. But Jake just want to, sell out, throw you under the bus, okay, set you up, do you in, betray you, and that's how you're going to get riches? No. That's not how you're going to get honor in life, man. You see, it's by humility. That's big. We live in a time where if you're humble or, you take L's, then you're just weak. And that's far from the case. That's far from the case. Jake got to find out later, like, wow, okay, dude was playing chess while I was playing checkers the whole time. All right. There's another one. There's another scripture. Yeah, I like that scripture. One of my favorites. Be not overconfident, man. Be not overconfident. Yeah. You got dudes that'll just say, whatever they think, They think that they smart or they strong and don't worry about it. I got it. And, they can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow for sure. or they can tell you they can whoop somebody's ass and they gonna do this and they can do all that, and they just full of talk, overconfident, boastful, proud type of individuals. You know what I'm talking about. Them dudes that can never be wrong. They have all the answers, but they don't know nothing. And it always be some simple Jake that follows them. That's crazy. It'd be always some Jake that follows an individual like that because he seemed to have all the right thing to say. He seemed to have the answers, but he don't know shit. Excuse my language. He don't know nothing, man. No. Wasn't it? Salakia. Be not confident in a plain way. We'll bring that out if the Lord allows, because my internet is being weird. My internet being weird with a T. Let's see. Come on. But yeah. Be not confident in a plain way. Salak. Sirach 32. Sirach 33 and 21. Be not confident in a plain way. Yeah, Jake just confident in a plain way. And some people, they really mistake that as confidence when Jake just say and do whatever, and and they got it, but it's in a plain way. All right, like, if you're prudent, if you're wise, like, dude about to fall on his face, or he about to be exposed, or he about to make a mistake, and you just gotta let these individuals be, because it really takes somebody to fall flat, or watch their words fall on to the ground, for them to understand that you don't boast, you don't count somebody out, you don't just think you're gonna run a play on an individual. It's like, okay, we'll see how that goes. What was that? $32. Salakia, my phone is being super slow. Right, let's read 20. Sirach 32 and 20. Go not in the way wherein thou mayest fall, and stumble not among the stones. Right. Yeah, and Jake just going wherever, not caring, think about the consequences later. A real arrogant, ignorant, dumb, carnal mind state. All right. And people excuse it as confidence, and it's not. You look retarded. But yet, people think that being meek is holding the L. Humble. Okay. Ecclesiastes 10 and 3. It says, yea, also when he that is a fool walketh by the way, and we just spoke about be not confident in a plain way. All right. And the prudent man foreseeth the evil, okay, and hideth himself. Let's read this. Ecclesiastes 10 and 3. Yea, also when he that is a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom faileth him, and he saith to everyone that he is a fool. Yeah. Well, see, and ultimately what happens is fools that, you'll see them, all right, after they told you, what they was going to do or how they're going to do it. And they were sure, and sure proof plan, get rich quick scheme or whatever the case. But when you see him, what, his wisdom failed to him, you're like, oh, that dude didn't know what he was talking about. What did he say? He said to everyone that he is a fool. Like, man, I was dumb, huh? I was dumb for that. Yeah, you were. What were you thinking? You can identify fools just by the way they walk down the street. NIV, even as fools walk along the road, they lack sense and show everyone how stupid they are. You see? Yeah, you can see, man, you can spot a dummy a mile away. Truly by the way they speak. Anybody who come and telling me, oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, I got it for sure, bro, for sure. Yeah, you can, don't, I got you, Oh, yeah. Those type of individuals, for sure, are with a red flag for me. There's a saying in the world that the fools are full of confidence while the wise are full of doubt, and you take that with a grain of salt, but it's always the one that is sure that ends up, being a fool, so to speak. Okay. And that's to be used with wisdom. All right. Because, we can't be full of doubt, but nonetheless, you can't be just so gung-ho about something. What does the scripture say? Lord willing, we be able to do this, or Lord willing, we be able to do that. What's that scripture? James? It's in James. Salakia. Wow. Right. James 4:15. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. Yeah. Lord willing, we live, and Lord willing, we do this, or Lord willing, we can do that. It's never like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that for sure. That's why these people with the 5-year plans, 10-year plans, it's like, nah, it's not wise, man. If the Lord wants, yeah, but if not, it ain't gonna happen. But now ye rejoice in your boastings, all such rejoicing is evil. You see, boastings, man. People boast of tomorrow, boast of what they got, and for sure, yeah, for sure. For sure, we're gonna get it done, for sure. Let's get this. It's the book of Sirach 41. And we'll start here at 16. Therefore, be shamefaced according to my word. Okay? And there's a righteous shameface. Okay? But there's also a shameface that is sin. Because the Lord wants us to do things without wavering. To have faith. There's a difference. Not foolish pride. Wow. Excuse me. For some reason the internet's acting up. Give a couple more seconds, see if I can get the word. Shamefaced. We'll just continue. You can look up that word shamefaced, but hey, when you have shame, that's a sense of manners. That's a sense of sense. That's a sense of being aware, okay, of modesty, of meekness. Okay? It sure as hell is not pride. Shamecast. Shameless cast. Right. Our people are shameless. Why did look up shame? Shame face. Embarrassed or ashamed. Yeah. Adjective. As an describes a person who is feeling ashamed. Embarrassed or often looking downward or awkward.
Shamefaced.
Feeling or expressing shame or embarrassment. Okay? And there's a righteous shamefacedness, man. You know? We gotta be embarrassed at our BS. You know, to Yahweh Bashem El Shai. Okay? Therefore be shamefaced according to my word, for it is not good to retain all shamefacedness, neither is it altogether approved in everything. Right. Yeah, you can't be embarrassed at everything. No, you got to speak the word boldly, for instance. Okay? Rightly dividing the word of the Most High. It says, be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a prince and a mighty man, of an offense before a judge and a ruler, or of iniquity before a congregation and people, of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend. You see, these are, this is what you should be embarrassed of, man. But our people have no shame, no sense, no morals, no conduct, no character. Okay? That's what this lesson gonna be about. Okay? And of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, right, where you live, where you will be around, where you frequent. You don't want to be known as the guy who stole, all right, from the neighborhood. Nah. It says, and in regard of the truth of the Most High and his covenant, and to lean with thine elbow upon the meat, and of scorning to give and take. Right. You don't want to be elbows all over the table. Okay. And when you scorn, you got to know how to give, and you got to know how to take scorning as well, man. Rebuke, people telling you about yourself, getting on you. And of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon a harlot. It says, and to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife. Man, you don't want to look away from those that, that need help, take away a portion or a gift. Yeah, you don't want to be what is it? What's the word? Indian giver? All right. Or you take a piece of something. You're supposed to give somebody something. You take a piece of it back. Okay. All right. Or to gaze upon another man's wife. Right. It's embarrassing. You caught looking at another man's wife, and that's, bro. And that's nothing these days. These days, man, it's people just committing adultery. All right. It's just ridiculous. Women not wanting to tell you they got a man. You should be ashamed of yourself. It says, or to be over busy with his maid, right, and come not near her bed, right, all up in, another man's house, his bed with his wife and his maid, or of upbraiding speeches before friends, right, you saying things before people you shouldn't be saying. Jake don't know how to keep their tongue. Okay, just spewing all kinds of rumors or what you think you heard or what you assume about somebody. And after thou hast given, upbraid not, right? And you got to know when to stop. When you gone too far. It says, or of I iterating and speaking again that which thou hast heard. Yep. You heard something. You want to expound on it to somebody else. Okay, and revealing secrets, right? You don't want to reveal secrets that have been confided to you. Scripture say it won't burst you. If somebody tells you something, keep it within yourself. You're not gonna explode if you don't tell somebody. You can actually keep things tucked away between you and an individual. It says, so shalt thou be truly shamefaced and find favor before all men. You see, that's what you want. You want to have favor. You want to know how to be able to conduct yourself with those that are within and without. Okay, so so that people speak no evil of you, because you know how to conduct yourself. Okay, but that's a little something on my spirit. I'm just seeing, Jake. Truth be told, like people, they look at you and they see like there's something different about an individual. But instead of learning, and wanting to what does the scripture say? Be times at thy door. You see a wise man, be times at his door. Learn from an individual. But people, they rather be in their folly. They see it as a threat or competition, just carnal, just beasts. But when you read the scriptures, it tells you how to conduct yourself, man, how to be. Okay, so this little something on my spare, Lord, when it was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rukakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to you, Akim and you, Aqua, that believe in all sincerity. Shalom.